Howdy, historians. Welcome to Africa Part 3. We're going to start off talking about the region of West Africa. And again, looking at their economy, their religion, some important aspects of this region. Alright, but first, just make sure I've got this in the front. Okay, I do. Blow it up here. Alright, West Africa, we're looking at the portion here in the green. So we're going to see some well-known countries in this area, like Nigeria, you may know, Ivory Coast, Ghana, Guinea, Sierra Leone, Liberia, Senegal, some larger, pretty well-known countries in West Africa. That's just a few of them amongst others that I mentioned there. Now, when we start to dig into some details here, one of the big things that's going to impact West African countries and civilizations, of course, is trade, right? This is something that is always going to be incredibly important when we're looking at the development of civilizations, how people move, how ideas and goods move, and then how all that movement causes change. West Africa had some big trade routes, and a lot of the trade routes could, as you can see, cross the Sahara Desert and connect them all the way back to the Middle East. So throughout their history, they've been a well-connected society, despite the fact that they live in sub-Saharan Africa. They were able to make some connections. Again, shout out to the camel, the boat of the desert, to be able to make that possible. So there are some very wealthy and powerful and prosperous civilizations in the West African states historically, like Ghana, Mali, and to name a few, were very, very prosperous. So some definite positive impacts from that trade, and it'll have a big influence on their religion, which we'll talk about in a second. This area is primarily covered by savanna, all right, and you see a lot of humid savanna in this area, where farmers were able to grow beans, melons, cereal grains. And they were able to grow a lot of them because it was humid savanna and they had good, water, good irrigation, good soil. So they were also able to grow a surplus, right? Extra that then they could trade. So they were able to take their surpluses and then connect into these trade networks. Also in this area, there was lots of gold and lots of salt, all right, which is why I have pictures of both in the bottom left there. Gold was plentiful in modern-day countries like Ghana, Nigeria, and Senegal. So people always were looking for that. And then they would oftentimes trade it for salt. All right, so salt was something that was also in demand in this area, and some areas had it. So Africans took the gold, they traded it for salt, and people need that salt in their diet to prevent dehydration. Too much salt will dehydrate you, but not enough won't allow your body to absorb it. So in the northern Sahara, salt was plentiful, but in the southern area here, in the western portion of Africa here, there wasn't that much of it. So gold for salt was a big trade. So as farming and trading increased, so did the number, size, and sophistications of civilizations and empires in West Africa. We'll look at a couple of those prominent empires later on in the unit. So trading gold for salt, trading their surplus agricultural products as well. So lots of trade, lots of development based off that trade, and eventually lots of new ideas. Islam is the prominent religion in West Africa. So as Western African savanna states traded with Northern African states, Islam began to spread to the area. So if you remember from North Africa, the Romans brought Christianity, but then eventually Arab traders came in and dominated, and they brought Islam and Arabic. Same thing happened here. Slightly different on Christianity, though. Previously, Western African states had polytheistic religion, with one central god reigning above all the others. But as trade started to increase, especially with, again, these North African countries, Islam spread slowly at first, but gradually it picked up steam and then eventually became the #1 religion in West Africa and had just enormous impacts on the cultures and societies of Western Africa. Language was now written a lot in Arabic. And, even laws were based on the Quran, the holy book of Islam. So their culture and society totally changed as they gained this new religion, the religion of Islam, which they got from their trade routes as they were trading agricultural products and gold for salt and other items. So lots of impact in West Africa from trade and then the subsequent cultural diffusion of Islam that took place there as well. So that's the quick, short, easy one for West Africa today. Hop over and check out the next video where we talk about East Africa.